The Premier League is the biggest and best football division in the entire world. It has consisted of 20 teams since 1995, with 3 new entries every season. This year, the 3 new teams entering the Premier League are Newcastle United, Brighton and Hove Albion, and Huddersfield Town. We'll start with Newcastle. Now, Newcastle aren't exactly unfamiliar faces to the Premier League, having played in all but 3 Premier League seasons. They have a 52,000 capacity stadium with famously passionate supporters. Having been an integral part to the success of the Premier League over the last 25 years, they have returned, although the Newcastle story hasn't been all plain sailing. A lot of fans would argue the club has massively underachieved considering its potential massive size. And the last time they won a proper trophy was 62 years ago, although they did win the illustrious 1969 Intercities Fairs Cup. And despite challenging at the top end of the Premier League in the 90s.
But I'll tell you, you can tell him now if you're watching it, we're still fighting for this title, and he's got to go to Middlesbrough and get something. And I'll tell you, honestly, I will love it if we beat them. Love it.
They mostly find themselves battling to stay up, which to put simply is the complete opposite of a club like Bournemouth, punching well below your weight. The Geordies will be hoping this will be the season to change all that though. Having comfortably jogged to promotion last year under Rafa Benitez, they'll be hoping the Spaniard has similar success this campaign. However, with highly controversial Mike Cockney Mafia Ashley hailing from Buckinghamshire still owning the club, and once again providing a lack of funds, there are concerns Rafa will get fed up and move on. Toon fans know how lucky they are to have had the former Chelsea, Liverpool and Real Madrid manager at their helm in the Championship, and that having won the Champions League in the past, he won't put up with this nonsense much longer. This season sees 2 new entries to the Premier League with absolutely no Premier League experience. Firstly, we have Brighton, who are making their first top-flight appearance in 34 years. Their most famous ever players include Mark Lawrenson, Jimmy Case, Peter Ward and Bobby Zamora. The greatest achievements in the club's history were winning the Charity Shield in 1910 and getting to the FA Cup final in 1983, where they forced Man United into a replay after an initial 1-1 draw. United won the replay 4-0, meaning Brighton rued Gordon Smith's missed opportunity to seal victory in the 90th minute of the first encounter, with the commentator's famous line, "And Smith must score!" becoming a running joke, and the name of a Brighton fan forum. Brighton used to reside in the old Goldstone ground, which held 36,000 at one stage. However, the owners sold the ground to a retail complex in 1997, meaning the Seagulls were without a home as they neared the brink of distinction. However, a 1-1 draw with Hereford the same year meant their Football League status was secured. And after spending years at the school sports ground, the Withdean Stadium, Brighton got promoted to the Championship and moved to the 30,000 capacity Amex Stadium in 2011. Since then, Brighton have had among the highest average attendances in the division and have been within touching distance of the Premier League, having failed in the playoffs 3 times. The Albion steamrolled to promotion with 3 games remaining last year. Now the club, which has been so-called fit for the Premier League in every way, have the chance to prove it. Chris Hughton has had a remarkable spell with Brighton thus far, and with the backing of chairman Tony Bloom, has had a successful summer so far as well, holding on to key players and bringing in smart recruitments. The seaside city is set for even more media exposure now. Can they handle it? We'll see this year! The other first-time Premier League club is Huddersfield, who are in the top flight of English football for the first time since 1972. Huddersfield were one of the biggest clubs in the world in the 1920s and 30s, with their highest ever attendance of 67,000 being achieved in 1932. They also enjoyed success in the 1950s when they were managed by undisputedly one of the greatest of all time, Bill Shankly. That team included Dennis Law and Ray Wilson, 2 of the Terriers' best ever players. While they have achieved great success in their history, it cannot be argued Huddersfield have experienced both extremes, with a large part of the club's history being spent in the 3rd and 4th divisions. They were competing at the bottom of the English Football League as recently as the 2003-2004 season, and just 5 years ago they were in the League One. Huddersfield moved to their current ground, the John Smith Stadium, in 1994, replacing the old, but iconic, Leeds Road. Despite finishing 19th the season before, Huddersfield managed promotion via the playoffs last year. How did this miraculous turnaround come about? Well, Stuart Webber brought in David Wagner, and in his first full season in charge, he realised he didn't have a big budget to play with. So he brought in a lot of players on loan from big clubs. These players carried the club through a promotion scrap, and at the end of the season finished 5th. It couldn't have been tighter in the playoffs, relying on penalties to see off Sheffield Wednesday in the semi-finals and Reading in the final at Wembley. Half owner, half fan Dean Hoyle has backed Wagner big time this summer, turning some of those loans into permanent deals, breaking their transfer record multiple times over. Premier League fans have a lot to be excited about with this addition to their league, being the only representatives from the passion land that is Yorkshire. So that was a brief overview of the newcomers to the Premier League this year. I hope you learned something new and found it enjoyable, and perhaps are excited about seeing how each club fares in the top flight this year. They all have decent stadiums and should make for good away days. Anywho, please leave a like on this video, subscribe to see more, and share it about. It helps me a lot. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon!